There's a moment, so subtle you almost miss it, when a woman decides you're not just interesting, but necessary. And if you've ever felt confused by her mixed signals, like she's pulling you in and pushing you away at the same time, it's not random, it's not chaos, it's controlled. And if you don't understand it, you will lose her, without ever knowing why. Before I go deeper, I need you to do something simple. Subscribe to this channel and like this video. Because what you're about to hear, most men go their entire lives without ever realizing it. And once you see it, you won't unsee it again. Listen carefully. When a woman becomes secretly obsessed with you, she doesn't always get closer. She starts creating emotional tension. Not distance to leave, but distance to pull you in deeper. And the mistake most men make? They think obsession looks like constant attention, constant validation, constant presence. No, that's interest. Obsession is quieter, more dangerous, more psychological. She begins to study you, not in obvious ways. She won't interrogate you or flood you with questions. Instead, she listens differently. She remembers things you forgot you even said, tiny details. The way your voice shifts when you talk about something painful. The exact moment you hesitate before answering a question. And then, she starts adjusting herself around you. Not fake, not manipulative in the way you think, but adaptive, precise. Her behavior begins to orbit yours. If you pull back slightly, she feels it instantly, but instead of chasing, she recalibrates. If you show confidence, she amplifies her femininity. If you become distant, she becomes emotionally unpredictable, not because she's unstable, but because she's testing how much control you really have over yourself. Because that's what obsession does. It makes her invest emotionally, but it also makes her afraid. Afraid of losing power, afraid of needing you more than she planned. And here's the part that most men completely misunderstand. When she's obsessed, she doesn't always try to secure you. She tries to understand if you're worth the risk of losing herself. So instead of obvious affection, you'll start seeing contradictions. Warmth followed by coldness. Deep eye contact followed by sudden withdrawal. Playfulness that feels almost too intense. Then silence that feels intentional. This isn't confusion. This is emotional calculation mixed with genuine desire. And if you react emotionally, if you chase too hard, question her behavior, or try to force clarity, you break the tension she's building. And the moment that tension breaks, so does her obsession. There's a shift in her energy that most men completely misread. And it's the exact moment her feelings for you start going deeper than she ever intended. She begins to mirror you, but not in the obvious way you've heard about before. This isn't just copying your words or your gestures, it's much more precise than that, much more personal. She starts aligning with your emotional rhythm. If you're calm, she softens. If you become focused, she becomes attentive. If you pull your energy inward, she feels it, and instead of resisting it, she adapts to it like she's trying to stay in sync with something she doesn't fully understand yet. And here's what makes this powerful. She doesn't even realize she's doing it at first. It's subconscious. Because when a woman becomes secretly obsessed, her mind starts treating you like a reference point. Not just someone she likes, but someone she measures emotional safety, excitement, and even self-worth around. And that's where things become dangerous for her. Because now, your reactions matter more than she wants them to. She notices when your tone changes. She replays your conversations in her head, not because she's insecure, but because she's trying to decode you. Trying to understand what makes you open up, what makes you withdraw, what makes you feel something real. And slowly, without saying it out loud, she starts adjusting herself to match the version of you she feels most connected to. If you're grounded, she becomes more feminine. If you're unpredictable, she becomes more emotionally alert. If you're distant, she doesn't always chase. She becomes more intriguing, more composed, more controlled, because she wants to pull your attention back without looking like she needs it. That's the difference. A woman who simply likes you reacts. A woman who is obsessed with you studies, adapts, and responds with intention. But here's where most men make a critical mistake. They become too predictable. The moment you become easy to read, easy to access, and emotionally available without challenge, her mind stops working for your attention. And when her mind stops working, her obsession fades. Because obsession thrives on uncertainty, on emotional tension, on the feeling that there's still more to discover about you. So if she starts mirroring your emotional patterns, matching your energy, and responding to subtle shifts in your behavior, don't rush to make things comfortable. Don't try to lock it in. Because the very thing you're trying to secure is being built in the tension you're about to destroy. Now, this is where most men completely misinterpret what's happening, and it's where you either lose her or make her obsession grow stronger. Because when a woman is secretly obsessed, she doesn't show it through constant texts or predictable compliments. She shows it through attention to the little things no one else notices. Notice the way she watches you, not like a casual observer, but like someone studying a piece of art she's never allowed herself to touch. She notices the smallest expressions, the way your lips twitch when you're amused, the subtle tightening of your jaw when you're stressed, even the micro-pauses in your speech that reveal exactly what you're thinking before you say it. She remembers these things, not to manipulate you, but because her brain has started treating you as essential. Like she's calibrating her world around you without even realizing it. And the truth? Most men completely miss it because they're waiting for loud signs, texts, calls, or over-the-top displays of affection. Obsession isn't loud. It's quiet, precise, and surgical. And then there's how she acts around others. She's protective of her image with you. Suddenly, your presence triggers subtle behavioral shifts. She laughs slightly differently when you're around, mirrors your posture without thinking, and her tone changes just enough to pull you closer without words. The way she positions herself in a group, the way she lets her gaze linger, that's all unconscious obsession at work. Here's what makes it so powerful and dangerous for you as a man. She doesn't always want to make it obvious. She wants you to notice without her having to tell you. She wants to see if you can read her, if you can feel her interest without being spoon-fed. If you do, it feeds her obsession. If you don't, it frustrates her, but doesn't break her focus. And the most emotionally intense part? She starts subtly testing your reactions. A joke with hidden meaning, a glance with multiple layers, a slight withdrawal to see if you notice. Each tiny experiment isn't manipulation, it's instinct. Her brain is mapping how much influence she has over your attention, how much power your presence holds, and how much she craves that connection. So when she does these things, don't mistake them for casual interest. Don't interpret them as playful or accidental. They are evidence, proof that your presence, your energy, and your subtle signals have become her obsession. And every time you respond correctly, she doubles down, whether she admits it or not. If you react wrongly, if you overcompensate or become desperate to decode her, you risk shattering the very tension that fuels her fixation. Her obsession is fragile but powerful. And now, if you're paying attention, you're starting to see the patterns she hopes you'll never consciously notice. Here's the part most men never understand, and it's what separates attraction from full-blown obsession. She won't always act on her feelings directly. In fact, she often pulls away first, and it's not rejection. It's a test. A silent way to measure your emotional gravity, to see if you're someone worth investing in. When she steps back, it's subtle. Maybe she's slower to reply to messages. Maybe she's quieter in conversation, or seems busy when you want her attention. Most men panic here, thinking they're losing her, but this is exactly where obsession is strongest. She's creating tension. She's watching how you react. She's seeing if your presence has become necessary to her world, and if hers has to yours. And when she returns, she's different. Not in obvious ways, but in the details. She remembers exactly what made you laugh last time, how you like your coffee, or even the smallest opinions you casually expressed. She uses these details, not consciously manipulative but instinctually, to create subtle emotional connections. Every gesture, every word, every look is calibrated to reinforce her attachment. Obsessed women also become hyper-aware of your mood. If you're distracted, they notice. If you're excited, they amplify their warmth. If you're distant, they adjust their energy to match yours. Sometimes playful, sometimes alluring, sometimes mysteriously quiet, just enough to keep your mind spinning. She's like a mirror reflecting the version of you that draws her in the most. And this isn't something she admits to. She doesn't confess, because obsession isn't prideful, it's protective. She's invested emotionally, and admitting it makes her vulnerable. But you'll see the signs if you pay attention. The lingering looks, the little touches that feel accidental but aren't, the way she lights up when you enter a room, then subtly observes your reaction to her energy. Here's the dangerous truth. She's testing how much you want her without realizing it yourself. Every action, every pause, every small shift is a probe. And men often fail this test, not because they're weak, but because they misunderstand obsession. They think attention, gifts, or reassurance will secure her. They're wrong. Obsession thrives on tension, on unpredictability, on a sense that she could slip away at any moment. If you try to force comfort or clarity too soon, you break the pattern. The obsession wanes. But if you allow the subtle push and pull, if you notice without overreacting, you start to occupy the center of her mind in ways most men never experience. And once she's there, she's not just interested, she's captivated, she's consumed, she's quietly, relentlessly obsessed with you. Now pay very close attention because this is where most men get it completely wrong. And it's why some women seem hard to read, when in reality they're screaming obsession through their actions. She begins using tiny, almost imperceptible touches, and it's never accidental. A brush of the hand, a subtle lean toward you, a hand that lingers just a second too long. Not all women do this, but the ones who are secretly obsessed, their body language becomes a language of its own, carefully tuned to your reactions. And here's the key. She's testing you. Not overtly, not aggressively, but quietly, constantly. You'll notice it in how she positions herself when you're sitting together. Slightly closer than necessary, feet angled toward you, shoulders tilting subtly, as if gravity itself is bending toward your energy. She mirrors your breathing, your gestures, the way your gaze moves, and she does it instinctively, often without conscious thought. But every micro-action is feeding her obsession, anchoring her attention deeper into your orbit. And then there's the emotional side. She remembers what makes you uncomfortable, what makes you feel powerful, what makes you laugh until it hurts, and she stores it. Like a secret archive she references in her mind whenever she wants to connect with you. And the dangerous truth? Most men dismiss this as being thoughtful or nice, but it's obsession in action. She's emotionally mapping you, memorizing patterns, collecting triggers and responses like a puzzle that only she can solve. Here's the kicker. She doesn't always show it directly. Sometimes she withdraws right after a touch or a moment of laughter, just to see if you notice her absence. She's testing your attention, seeing if you value her presence as much as she values yours. And men? They often miss it entirely, thinking she's pulling away or losing interest. But obsession is never linear. It's a dance of proximity and distance, connection and subtle withdrawal. She wants you engaged, emotionally present, and slightly unsettled, because the tension keeps her brain hooked. When you respond with curiosity, self-control, and subtle intrigue, her obsession spikes. When you react with desperation or anxiety, it fades. So notice her movements, her glances, her micro-adjustments. They aren't casual, they aren't random. They are the fingerprints of a mind that is, without her even fully realizing it, entirely captivated by you. And once you understand this, once you can read the patterns without reacting impulsively, you hold a power most men never even dream exists. You begin to navigate her obsession rather than stumble blindly into it. Now, let's get into something most men completely overlook, but it's the ultimate sign of obsession. When she becomes secretly obsessed, she doesn't just respond to your words or actions, she anticipates them. Not in a manipulative way, but in a way that reveals just how much your presence has become central to her mind. You'll start noticing that she knows what you're thinking before you even speak. The way she interrupts a story you're about to tell, finishing it for you, but in a way that feels precise, almost tailored to your own emotion. The way she intuitively moves around you in social settings, positioning herself where she knows your attention will catch her, without it seeming intentional. This is a level of subconscious awareness most men never encounter. And here's what's so emotionally heavy. She begins to invest in your happiness quietly, secretly. Not through grand gestures or obvious romantic moves, but in small, almost invisible ways that make your life feel smoother, easier, lighter. She remembers exactly how you like your coffee, how you like your space arranged, even the way you like your conversations to flow. Every action, every micro-choice is her brain saying, I need to stay connected to this man. I need to understand him completely. Obsession also brings intensity in conversation. She asks questions that cut deeper than mere curiosity. She listens for meaning beneath your words, for emotional currents you didn't realize you were sending. She wants to know how you feel, not just what you think. And if you sense it, it will feel magnetic, almost uncomfortable in its intimacy, but it's a mark of her fixation. Then comes the subtle testing of boundaries. She might tease, challenge, or even push you slightly to gauge your reaction, not maliciously, but instinctively. Obsession thrives on this tension, on the back and forth of your energy against hers. If you respond calmly, with control and confidence, she becomes more captivated. If you overreact, become insecure, or chase her neediness, the obsession falters. And here's the paradox most men miss. She doesn't want to admit her obsession because it makes her vulnerable. But her behaviors betray her. The lingering eye contact, the soft laughter at the exact moment you're focused, the small ways she integrates herself into your routines without announcement. These are the unmistakable fingerprints of a mind quietly, relentlessly obsessed with you. And once you recognize them, you're not just seeing her attention, you're seeing the very architecture of her fixation. This is where it all comes together, and where the truth hits harder than anything most men have ever realized. When a woman is secretly obsessed with you, it isn't about just liking you or even wanting you. It's about needing you in ways she can barely admit to herself. And if you've been watching closely, noticing the patterns, the subtle touches, the micro-adjustments, you can see it too, before she even says a word. The ultimate sign of obsession is how she makes you feel. It's not just attraction. It's a tension that lingers long after she leaves the room, a presence that echoes in your thoughts, a pull that keeps you curious, guessing, and emotionally alert. She isn't showing off. She isn't trying to win you in obvious ways. She's embedding herself into your subconscious. And that, my friend, is far more powerful than anything obvious could ever be. Her obsession becomes a mirror. She reflects the best, and sometimes the hardest, parts of you back at yourself. When you're confident, she amplifies it. When you're vulnerable, she respects it, or challenges it, in ways that make you stronger. She pushes, she pulls, she engages and withdraws, but it's all calibrated to see how much of you she can touch without speaking it aloud. And here's the most dangerous part for you. Most men react emotionally. They chase, they plead, they overanalyze. They try to solve the puzzle she's intentionally built. But obsession doesn't respond to force. It responds to awareness, control, and measured engagement. The moment you start to understand the patterns and hold your own energy, her obsession doesn't just persist, it intensifies. Notice her small sacrifices, the moments she prioritizes your presence, the way her gaze lingers longer than it should. Notice the micro-adjustments in posture, tone, and attention that no one else sees. These are not casual behaviors. They are the unmistakable hallmarks of a mind that has become, without even intending it, entirely consumed by you. And when you realize this, you gain something most men never do: clarity, power, insight into a psychological dynamic that can elevate every interaction you have. Obsession is not loud. It is subtle, heavy, and relentless. And once you see it, you can navigate it, not as a victim of her emotions, but as someone who understands the force of attention, desire, and fixation that she's built around you. So pay attention. Watch the micro signals, the tension, the pull, and the subtle ways she orients herself to your energy. Because if she's showing these behaviors, she's not just interested, she's secretly obsessed with you.